Welcome, listeners of WHFB AM 1060 and WIMS AM 1420, as we launch another edition of the Green Radio Network. Here on the Green Radio Network, we'll bring you a variety of green topics and the latest information on green technology and transportation. This program features environmental leaders throughout northern Indiana and the entire nation. The Green Radio Network is sponsored by NERPC, the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, and the award-winning South Shore Clean Cities. Both entities are leaders in the environmental industry and work together to bring cleaner air and more sustainable living to northern Indiana. Now to introduce Carl Lissick, Executive Director of South Shore Clean Cities and the host of the show.
So, thank you for that introduction, and today our guest is Miss Selena Weatherwax. She's the president of the McMillan Family Foundation. Selena, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Carl.
Selena, I know we've had a history together working for numerous years, and congratulations on this new endeavor.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, and I'm so grateful and appreciative for all your wisdom throughout the years that you've shared with me, and most importantly, your friendship. So
oh my goodness, I am blushing. That was very kind of you. That's nice words, Selena. But again, I think you have definitely been one of the leaders that we've always looked to here in not only northern Indiana, but Indiana. And so, congratulations on always constantly making a difference in any career that you've chosen in here. So what is the Multi-Agency Academic Cooperative, or MAC? What is that?
Okay, well, the McMillan Family Foundation, which I am president of, has made a significant investment in firefighting training. And in doing so, we've established the MAC Foundation, which stands for the Multi-Agency Academic Cooperative, a 501c3 organization located in Valparaiso. MAC's primary focus, as I mentioned, is firefighting training, and so we are working hard to make sure that they become self-sustainable, and that in terms of the construction is led correctly and executed well. And so we have an academy director by the name of Ward Barnett on the premise that's leading the charge and doing a fantastic job doing so. And then we also have a core leadership team, which is made up of firefighters, many of which are chiefs of District 1.
I see. And so where do we stand on this? So, I mean, this is relatively a new endeavor. And so, again, as we move forward, what is your mission?
Yes. So our mission is to ensure that firefighters are receiving the trainings that they need to be safe at fulfilling the roles that they have agreed to take on. These men and women are some of the most unselfish men and women that I have ever met, courageous, and so we want to make sure that they have all the protections necessary for when they are called to respond.
As we talked off air, Selena, I know, one of the conversations that we've had is in regards to some of the new technologies and some of the things that we're working on with alternative fuels, and, some of the new things or some of the new training or the lack of training that we've seen, not just in Indiana, but across the United States, as we start to implement some of these new technologies, like, well, how do we train firefighters and first responders to properly have the right equipment? And again, I think that's just the opportunity that we see working with you, is that we can bring some of these opportunities to northern Indiana, and we're really excited about that opportunity. So as you talked about that, is we read every day about the courageous first responders and our firefighters, and I know this is really a passion of yours, and it's just so exciting to see that this is really going to be accomplished here in Northwest Indiana.
Absolutely, we're in an industrial park in Valparaiso, so we are centrally located for the district. We have 5 counties we represent, so we're working with District 1 Fire Training Council. They're our direct partner in establishing the foundation, and so we have Lake, Porter, LaPorte, Newton, Jasper County is engaged. But with that being said, the issue of alternative fuels and how to properly respond to incidents when alternative fuels are involved is really at the top of our interests. And so working with you, I think that's going to be incredibly helpful, not only to serve the folks that need the trainings, but also to accomplish the mission on hand.
Sure. As you talk more about this, Selena, how can people get involved with this?
Right. So if you are a firefighter, I would recommend that you speak to your training coordinators in your departments and or your chief. If you'd like a tour of the MAC Foundation campus, we would be happy to facilitate that for you. Visit us at macfoundation.com. You can go ahead and submit your tour request through an online form that we have, or just give us a call, and we'll be happy to make that arrangement. But more importantly, the McMillan Family Foundation wants to ensure that MAC becomes sustainable. So if you're able to give $5, $10 to support our mission, we'd be very grateful.
Wonderful. And again, I think, there's so many needs that all of our communities have. And, a lot of times we do forget about our first responders and the people that keep us safe. And, again, so, when people want to get involved, so where are we at on the planning of this facility? Give us a little update on that.
Well, that's an exciting question for me, because since I've been involved since the inception of this, we broke ground in September, and we just opened up our building a couple weeks ago.
Oh, congratulations.
For phase 1. Yeah, so that was a significant milestone. But we are getting ready to break ground on phase 2, which will be more classroom space, and as well as different areas for firefighters to use when they're done with their trainings.
So again, I know some of the things that we had talked about offline, maybe a couple of weeks ago before you were going to come on air, is your dedication to this profession. And I know that you had mentioned something to me, if you want to share that you're potentially going to be becoming a firefighter.
Yeah. So I had my first interview earlier in the week, and it's my hope to join the Washington Township Volunteer Fire Department in Valparaiso, and I hope to go through the first Cadet Academy that will be held at MAC starting in June.
Wonderful, and congratulations on that. And again, I think just from our past that have crossed for the last couple of years, I know you will be very successful, and we're very excited about having you as the president of the McMillan Family Foundation. And so, what other things should we talk about that are for firefighter safety?
Well, in safety, there are many angles, and I would have to defer to the experts on site at MAC. But why don't we take a moment to talk about the fire service as a whole?
Okay.
I don't know if many folks are aware of the fact that nearly 70% of all our firefighters are volunteer firefighters.
Wow, that's a huge number.
It's significant savings to us taxpayers. Estimates show that somewhere in excess of $139 billion per year are saved by taxpayers because of the volunteer forces that we have throughout the country. With that being said, career departments are essential. They're critical to make sure that we have the safety in place and protections in place as residents. And so we at MAC have been very deliberate about ensuring that we support both, that we are supporting both career professional firefighters as well as our volunteer teams.
Wow. And again, you're listening to the Green Radio Network here on AM 1420 WIMS Radio and AM 1060 WHFB. I'm your host, Carl Lissick. We'll be right back with Miss Selena Weatherwax at the McMillan Family Foundation right after this.
There's nothing more important than spending time outdoors with your family. That's why it's so important to do whatever you can to keep our air clean. It's good for the environment and good for the health of your friends and family. Take a closer look at how poor quality is affecting our community. Across the 3 counties of Northwest Indiana, recent studies from the American Lung Association show that 9% of adults suffer from asthma, 4% live with chronic bronchitis, 38% have a form of cardiovascular disease, 10% of the children in Lake and LaPorte counties struggle with pediatric asthma. Now, the number of adults with asthma is nearly that of adults with diabetes. Consider how diabetics make adjustments to their diet in order to be as healthy as possible. Everyone can make adjustments to improve air quality and the quality of life for those who live with asthma and other lung diseases. Northwest Indiana, clean air, think green, breathe easy. A message from NERPC.
Welcome back to the Green Radio Network here on AM 1420 WIMS Radio and AM 1060 WHFB. I'm your host, Carl Lissick of South Shore Clean Cities, here to bring you the latest information on green projects and topics across the nation. Our guest today is Miss Selena Weatherwax. She's the president of the McMillan Family Foundation. And Selena, we're just talking about some of the different things about MAC. What are some of the MAC's needs right now?
Well, it's certainly monetary need. I mean, again, I mentioned it, so we want to ensure that they become self-sustainable, and so we need to be sure that some of the operating costs are taken care of, at least here in the next couple years. We have made significant investment on the capital side of things with the construction that has taken place and will continue to take place. But at the McMillan Family Foundation, we are not we're not going to be partaking in some of the operations.
I see.
Pieces. So monetarily, any donation at any level would be most appreciated.
And, as we talk not just about some of the physical equipment, I think, a lot of things that we're seeing with the different agencies that you're currently working with, besides the firefighters. I know there's a lot of regional discussions about moving things forward and, integrating additional technologies into some of these different training opportunities for local needs. And so what do you think are some of our local needs that we really, as a business or as a resident, they could help you with?
Well, specifically, some of the consumables that these firefighters will need for training come to mind: propane, some lumber. I mean, I saw a list of items that are needed for a training that's taking place next Saturday that includes padlocks, because they need to be able to sometimes break into a structure to rescue the person on the other side. Wow. And so so there's a number of items. I would strongly encourage anyone that has something that they think that they may be able to contribute to give us a call, and we could work through that. Sure.
And I, again, as things become, we become more educated on some of these needs, the wellness of our firefighters. And again, I think we're hearing more about some of the state programs, some of the federal programs about, keeping in shape and some of the things that we eat, our diets and different things. And I'm sure this is going to be part of your curriculum moving forward.
Yeah, it is our hope. The State of Indiana Department of Homeland Security Fire Training Council does a very good job at supporting some of those different initiatives. And so we hope to be able to incorporate some of that at MAC. Another issue that is of significant importance is the cancer rates that these firefighters are now experiencing. There's been a bit of data that's been released recently. The numbers are alarming. If you think about the amount of contaminants that firefighters inhale when responding to a structure fire, it's significant, and sometimes it goes through and it's absorbed by their skin.
Absolutely.
And so that's also an area that we have an interest in helping with.
And it's funny that you say that, because I originally, when I started here back in 2006, one of our first initiatives was to work with some of our local fire stations in regards to diesel emission reductions. And that was just at the time that they were putting in some of the opportunities to eliminate a lot of the diesel idling of the firefighting apparatuses and things like that. And again, from cancer causing and different things like that. And I know how, things have advanced in the past, several years, and, pretty much all of our stations now have idle reduction types of opportunities, so that our firefighters are not breathing in those diesel emissions. But again, as we do become smarter and sharing a lot of this technology, it's just very interesting on everything, like you said, that our firefighters are really exposed to, not just the firefighters, but sometimes their families, and some of the stuff that they potentially would bring home on their clothes.
Yeah, that's an excellent point you make, because I just heard a wife of a firefighter talk about that this week. She was saying that years ago, her husband, after being called, would just come home and And so now they make it a point that he has to clean up before he can even walk in the door and immediately hit the shower, because that will, that stuff, that bad stuff that is being carried on their suits and so on and so forth, sometimes will carry over into the air at home. And
yeah,
so
and
those precautions need to be
absolutely,
taken.
Absolutely. You're listening to Selena Weatherwax, president of the McMillan Family Foundation, and we're just talking about some of the great things that she's working on and some of the initiatives here for our local firefighters. So as you're talking about this facility, Selena, when can we anticipate this facility being done?
Yeah, I know. We're ready, but I'm telling you, it's full throttle. We've been pushing very hard. We are very fortunate to be working with Larson Danielson as our primary
construction consultant.
Yes. And so they have been very, very supportive of what we're doing. And so it is our hope to have phase 2 completed by the end of summer. But realistically, because of the activity taking place on campus, our facility will never be completely built.
Sure.
There's always...
so always going to be a need, huh?
Always, yeah.
So Selena, we're just talking about some of the opportunities and some of the areas of part of the country that we're using as potential as a model for this.
Yeah, well, we are very, very blessed to have other training sites in District 1. District 1, again, is those 5 counties that I mentioned earlier, but we have a very strong, dynamic site here in Michigan City. We also have a site in St. John, and Gary Fire Department is also working at developing a site on premise there. But our model is very unique in the sense that there is a private foundation that is making this investment, this gift to public safety in a very direct way. And so the model is something that I've tried to research throughout the country. I've even had conversations with some folks at NFPA asking, if there's anything close, but they could not go back and share with me any one model that fits what we're doing. Again, our foundation, McMillan Family Foundation, making an investment for the public good in this way, in this partnership with the district, is something that it's very unique.
Okay, so as we talk about this, and let's go 5 years from now, so what will this look like 5 years from now?
5 years from now, we'll continue to serve the over 2,000 firefighters throughout District 1 and potentially hundreds of thousands nationally. The location is very unique as well because 5 years from now, maybe we'll be recognized as a fire safety corridor of Indiana. Let me explain. We are located off of US 30. Our neighbors are Amcus, which manufactures rescue tools. And then next to Amcus, we have Hoosier Fire Service. And then down the street, we have Task Force Tips. But I mention this because across US 30, we have Ivy Tech, who offers fire safety courses, as well as the Porter County Airport, in which we already bring in, because of the different industry partners that I mentioned, bring in firefighters from all over the country. So
no, it's just it's just very exciting, and really, this is a lot to do with economic development. When having this, to be kind of a resource not only for Northwest Indiana, but for the country.
This is a regional project having regional impact way beyond what we are accustomed to. This is not necessarily relying on government funding. This is a project that we have launched because it is the right thing to do. Fire safety professionals, as a matter of fact, all emergency services professionals deserve to have a facility that is innovative, state-of-the-art for them to conduct their trainings, and more importantly, to address the different retention and recruitment challenges that departments face now. Our facility will be open on nights and weekends, and that's not the case all the time. And more importantly, we are going to be sure that we're flexible in the different training offerings.
Sure.
That are required by different departments. But 5 years from now, I see us having a site where there's 5 or 6, maybe even more departments training at the same time, very robust, going.
No, and I guarantee you, folks, this will be that, and it'll be a model for the rest of the country. So, Selena, as we come to the end of our show, any closing thoughts?
No, I just wanted to thank you again for your partnership and support throughout the years, but more importantly because you have always demonstrated commitment to emergencies professionals throughout Northwest Indiana, Northern Indiana for that matter. Carl, you've always been at the helm of being very vocal and supportive of these brave men and women.
Well,
so thank you.
Thank you for that, and we look forward to hearing more about this endeavor. And and if people again want to get more information on this, how would they get more information?
MACfoundation.com is the primary source to get to us. On that site, my contact information is listed, as well as Ward Barnett, who's our Academy Director. His contact information is listed, but again, it's www.mac. MAAC.
MACC.
And that's important to highlight because if you Google Mac Foundation, sometimes you get the makeup line.
Okay.
You always get the makeup line. So Mac, MAAC Foundation.com.
Well, Selena, as always, thank you so much for your work. And again, this is such a great opportunity for not only Northwest Indiana, but for the entire country. And we're just excited that this is going to be right here in our backyard and, being such a resource for our emergency responders. So, this is just a great thing and another great opportunity for Northwest Indiana to shine. And that will do it for today's edition of the Green Radio Network. I'm your host, Carl Lissick. Thanks again to our guests, Ms. Selena Weatherwax of the McMillan Family Foundation. And be sure to join us again on AM 1420 WIMS Radio and AM 1060 WHFB for the next edition of the Green Radio Network. And visit us online at SouthShoreCleanCities.org. So thank you very much.
Okay.